Dakota Johnson was shocked to hear that Jamie Dornan had to undergo hours-long surgery. Dakota Johnson woke up on a gloomy morning in early winter, the cold footsteps rushing in through the half-open window. She sat on the edge of her bed. The room was quiet, the pale light of dawn just enough to urge her sleepy eyes to not fully wake up. An old phone was placed in her hand, an unread message flashing. Jamie. Those two simple words were enough to make her heart start pounding. A feeling of unease filled her. Dakota knew she needed to be awake right now, but her body still craved a moment to shake off the emotions that had suddenly invaded her. She took a deep breath and pulled the phone closer. The sender, the content, it seemed like everything was falling apart before her eyes. Unexpected message. Jamie's in the operating room. Surgery could take hours. Things are serious. H is being treated for an internal injury that has never happened before. With each message that appeared on the screen, her heart felt like it was being squeezed. The voice in her head repeated, "Is Jamie okay? Is he still there?" Each word was an exclamation point in her heart. Fear, helplessness, anxiety. She crawled to the window, the light suddenly sharp and cold. Each pale ray of sunlight seemed to stab her heart in small strokes. Her eyes blurred, her fear unconcealed, but for a moment, she saw the small photo on the table, she and Jamie in a frame. They were smiling, they were holding each other, as if the world revolved around joy and love. Now, that moment seemed a millennium away. Silent moments. The clock on the wall, its long hands slowly ticking away. 1 hour, 2 hours, 3 hours. Dakota counted the minutes like a prisoner in a lonely tower. She had nothing else to do but sit there, trembling, crying, waiting for information, even just one line. "Is the surgery done, Jamie?" A bell rang, the door to the room opened. The doctor appeared, his face serious but trying to keep calm. "Miss Dakota, I'm Dr. Min, the head of the department. The surgery is over. Things are quite tense, but Mr. Dornan is being taken to the recovery room. Please come in." Dakota's heart felt like it was bursting. She stood up, stumbling a few times, the blood flowing enough to make her feel like she was lost in a nightmare. The doctor placed a hand on her shoulder, his eyes sympathetic. He suffered a lot, but the surgery went as planned. "We still need to monitor him. He will need a few days in the ICU." Dakota could no longer hear the words clearly. She only knew that she stood there, breathless, tears rolling down uncontrollably. The music of emotions. In the recovery room, where everything was filled with the rapid sound of machines, the steady beeping and the flashing red and blue lights. Dakota walked in, holding Jamie's hand, the hand that was once warm and now cold. Looking at his face that was once strong and now limp, the anesthesia surgery left traces, small tubes, silver incisions. The curtain divided the space, leaving only a glimmer of hope. She sat quietly by the hospital bed, wondering, if he woke up and saw her, what would his heart say? She whispered close to her precious lips, affectionately. "Jamie, I'm here. I'm sorry I can't be with you right now. I love you. Wake up." Each word was like a letter to his soul. Each whisper, however weak, carried a strange power. Walking through the storm, time flowed like a slow river. It seemed as if someone had lied to her, telling her that hope was a sweet word before the abyss seized her. But in the pitch-black darkness, there was still a faint glimmer of light. The heartbeat was beginning to stabilize. The beeping machine was a little quieter. The resuscitation doctor smiled softly. "He's out of the critical stage. He still needs rest and observation, but things are progressing in a positive direction." Dakota wanted to hug the doctor, wanted to scream out her endless gratitude. But she just cried, holding Jamie's hand, the only thing she knew she could do to show unconditional love. And then, in a rare moment of silence amid the fight for survival, she heard a small breath, weak but clear. He was waking up. The moment of reunion, Jamie opened his eyes. His brows furrowed, his blinks trembling. And then, his blue eyes looked straight into Dakota's tear-stained eyes. A moment that seemed to freeze forever. Dakota. His voice was hoarse and weak. She suddenly smiled a small smile, even though her whole body was still wet with tears. You're awake. I'm here. I'm safe. I love you so much. Jamie gently lifted her hand, feeling the warmth of her body, and under the dim light, they seemed to have returned to each other after a storm. The stream of time recovered. The following days passed slowly like a pinch of dew in the morning. Jamie recovered, little by little. Dakota was still by his side, each "I miss you" repeated, both sincere and grateful. They told stories together, which were really just soft whispers, holding on to love, to existence. Each tear that Dakota shed was now a strong belief that love could overcome all dangers. The following week, Jamie was well enough to sit up. Dakota carefully led him out to the hospital courtyard. The sunlight gently shone through the place where they held hands, two people returning to the outside world, each step like an invisible thread connecting two hearts that could not be separated. The end and the new beginning. One late winter afternoon, when the first snow of the season began to fall sparsely on the flower path in front of the hospital, Jamie and Dakota sat together on a stone bench. He gently pulled her hand into his arms. "Thank you for not abandoning me." Dakota smiled softly. "I can't abandon you, just like you can't abandon me. The person you love is the person you have to fight for to the end." They looked at each other, their eyes shining with faith and hope. Outside, the world was still full of uncertainties and storms, but together, they knew they had overcome the greatest storm of their lives.